Okay, I got a dripping faucet here, as you can see. And there's two brands of these, and maybe more, Seasons and Glacier Bay. They both use the same kind of cartridges. The only tricky part is that there's a cold side and a hot side, so it's specific cartridge and the way that it lines up. So I have new cartridges, but I wanted to show you how sometimes you can repair the old cartridge. Sometimes it's just old rock or a piece of sand or sediment that gets into the cartridge. It's a washerless cartridge, but also it can replace the cartridges just in case. So this is the hot side, which is on the left, cold side on the right. Not sure where my drip is, whether hot side or cold side, so I'm just going to turn them off one at a time. I'll try to kind of feel around to tell which side is going on and then take a guess. If I had to guess, I'd say it's that right cold side. I'm going to start with that, turn off the water at the angle stop down below, and we'll see if that stops our drip. And that did not get it, so we're going to go with the hot side, but at least we'll prove it out. There's the hot side, and there it was. So that's good. Anyway, what we have underneath here is an Allen key hidden. You got to pull this little tiny plug out. Might be a good idea to plug the drain so you don't lose the plug. And then it uses an Allen key, which I carry in my little pouch here. So just for this size. And we'll just loosen that screw and pull it out. And sometimes, since the water's off, you can turn it this way. But once you loosen it now, when you pull it off, you want to turn it back to off. And we're going to want to mark our spot here. The way I usually do this is with a Sharpie. And mark this here on that side. And then we'll use channel locks, pull it apart, and mark the other side. And I should have got grab the towel. So take your channel locks, try as much as possible, put them on the top portion of this. You can also use which may be better, is an adjustable wrench to prevent squeezing and deforming the little collar nut here. But I'll take my time with it. It should be just fine here. There we go. And see, you can see it's built up a little bit of calcium and mineral deposits. Anyway, now what we want to do is mark the side of the cartridge. Just make it easier to line everything up here. Once we go to put it back in, because these can be tricky. So just put a line on that side, that way everything lines up. We can replace the old one with a new one, which is one way to do that. To do that, you have to separate the screw here and pull the little rotating cap off and put it on the new one. But for just trying to repair the old one, which I'm going to try first, you may want to wear gloves because you're going to need some silicone or lubricant, some high temperature faucet grease, or some lube in order to lube up the stem. This is also, if you have water coming from the top here, I'll oftentimes use the lube up the stem. If it's just like what I've got, a drip, that's actually in the cartridge itself. So we don't have to lube that stem, but just so you know, two different repairs for this depending on what's going on. Mine's not leaking from the top. These are also notorious for leaking from the neck, the O-rings there. Another story, I have a video on those. But anyway, back to the task at hand. What we can do is kind of peek underneath here. You see a little keyed spot. I just take my screwdriver and just kind of gently gently twist it to getting up underneath that little spot to release it. See that? We don't want to deform the bottom of it. You can also just kind of pull it straight up. Sometimes it's a little complicated. Sometimes it's just a little combination of both. Pulling up as well as turning that deal. Let them in here. That's in there good. It will release water. A lot of water will pour over the top once we pop this up. So just kind of be ready for that. That's why I brought the rag here. Just maybe kind of divert the water underneath here. There it is. Okay. And it actually popped the parts out. The parts were sticking there. You see inside there? We're going to want to clean all that out. As well as down here, and watch for our little parts. Okay. What we've got. The more you can keep everything in line, the better. And it's got a little gasket underneath that. Okay. Get the gasket. Which of course is going to be a little bit different. There it is. Okay. So that's the floor gasket, and then here's our rotating parts. And we're just going to want to make sure these are all cleaned out. Okay, that looks good. And right here, we're going to check here. We're going to clean all this out. Maybe just time to replace this one because I'm not really seeing any stones or anything that's really blocking it here. And it may just repeat leak on us if we don't just replace it. Okay. Anyway, we got our black line, line everything up. I'm going to take these over to my other faucet and just rinse them out. Basically everything just lines up this way. So let's give it a shot. Try cleaning it out first. Same thing here, we'll pull the plug. Get some light here. Rinse this all out. Rinse each of the individual parts, just clean them up. Just sort of keeping them in line. Okay. And then everything's going to squeeze back into our cartridge here. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but not too much. Okay. Once again, if need be, we'll just replace it. No biggie. But here, we gotta line this part up. There we go. So that everything seats in there, like so. And then our little gasket goes here, and we're ready. Okay, now for the faucet grease, we're going to apply that to the O-ring. And it's just going to go around this top one. Just going to keep the water from coming up above. Okay, now we can line up our lines that we made earlier and set it in place. And if you don't line up the lines, it can make it a little tricky for which way the handle will go once it's all seated. So obviously we need to turn on that way and turn off there. And so just doing that makes it easier. Okay, and this, we can clean this up a little bit. I'll make it easier. As well as just clean up the base of this a little bit on the calcium deposits. You can see another little washer here in between. It goes in between the collar nut and the bottom. So we just want to make sure we're not cross-setted. Touching this puppy on. You can see as it's putting pressure on the faucet, a little bit of water is coming from the spout. Again, we're going to avoid squeezing. Just going to turn the collar nut until it's nice and tight. Nice and snug. You don't want to over tighten it, you just want it to be nice and snug. And if this doesn't work out, a lot of times this does. If it doesn't, we'll go with plan B, we'll replace the cartridge. And here we go. Now our line's open. Now go ahead and turn the cold water on with the line open. I'll go ahead and unplug it, just keep an eye on my plug. And I'll go ahead and open the line. This will push any air out. That's why I left the line open. And now we'll see if we shut off all the way. And the question is if we have any more drips. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to tell with the aerator in there. So I might pull that out. Tracking a lot of water there. And unfortunately it looks like we do have a drip. So I'll go ahead and turn the water off again and we'll just change the cartridge out. No big deal. Of course we're going to have a little bit more water again pop up, but that's okay. Now while it's still in place, it's a little easier to remove this top deal. And you may have to hold it with a tool to get it started here. That's what I'm going to do. Again, we've got our black line on the sides so that we know exactly where it lines up. And this is the left side, so it's the hot side. I think I said cold earlier. That's my dyslexia kicking in. I'll undo the collar nut. Probably be a little easier to pop out this time. Again, I'm going to block this side. And we can take our insert piece that I was telling you about. I'm going to line that up with that left side once we're ready. Anyway, we're going to pull this out now. It should come out much easier. Left our parts in there, so we want to make sure we get all of our parts out. Good deal. And a lot of times you can just clean out the gasket, but not always. I'll clean out the cartridge. Anyway, here's our new cartridge. Sometimes these come pre-lubed, sometimes they don't. Everything's together, so that's nice and easy. Go ahead and leave it like that. I'm gonna go ahead and lube the gaskets here. Top O-ring. There we go. Feel down in there for our seat, make sure everything's okay and that there's no debris down there. And now we're going to line up the faucet, which I believe will sit this way with the collar on the right. We're just going to have to kind of try it both ways. Anyway, press it down in place, and then here's our insert, which it has a flat end on it, so it pretty much can only line up with one side of the deal. And now we'll test it with the handle, just see if we're doing what we should. Okay. In theory. Now we'll set the collar nut on and we'll insert our screw. Before I insert the screw, I'll just go ahead and test it out with the water. Again, adjustable wrench is better because you can prevent marring it. It is kind of covered with this deal anyway. And before I super tighten it down or whatever, I'm going to go ahead and open it up, turn the water on. I have no aerator in there at the moment, so anyway, there we go. See how we fare now. Perfect. Okay. So I brought a new aerator. I'll just change the aerator out. That's nice and easy. Before we do that, I'll go ahead and turn the cold side back on also underneath. And do the same thing. I'll open the handle, turn the cold side on. I'll just push any air right out of the faucet rather than it going into the plumbing line, causing us trouble anywhere else. Anyway, we're all set there. Now we'll tighten down our Allen key screw on this one. Well, before I do that, I might tighten this down just a hair more here. Everything's in good there. Okay. And yeah, definitely before that, I want to make sure we reset our set screw up top right here. Go. Snug is good. Now we can reset our deal and tighten down the set screw. If you need to, you can kind of turn it towards you. And good there. Okay. And then's our little plug. The hot side, so the red one on the left side. We're all set there. Okay, now you want to check for leaks down below. You will actually have some water, possibly, probably, I definitely do, down below from when we took the cartridge out, so definitely you want to clean the water up. And then you'll want to check for leaks, just running your hand in between each of the plumbing units. Take off the gloves for that. Just feeling for any leaks there. Sometimes these leak in between the on and off setting, and once you've got it open, it stops leaking. So it's kind of something you want to check and dry off, and then recheck. And if need be, you may have to tighten something up on the front nut or not. And then you'll just want to monitor this for a couple days. A good way to do that is once you've got everything dried below, spread some paper towels down, and then just monitor and see if you get any drips or not. Kind of a good practice. Better to find the problem first and fix the problem before you wind up with mold or anything funky like that. But Anyway, that's how to replace a leaking Seasons or a Glacier Bay faucet. Good to go. Got my new aerator right here. I'm just going to twist in for the final touch. Definitely, while this was apart, would have been a good time to take a little cleaner and clean it up a bit. But anyway, that's another story. We're good to go. That's how to fix a leaking two-handle faucet, Glacier Bay or Seasons. Good to go.